Mary Beth, it's been great to have you here in the UK sharing your work on person-centred thinking and coaching. It may not be something that a lot of people are familiar with, so will you tell us a bit about coaching and what that is?
I like to think about coaching as a process. It's a process of asking really powerful questions. Mm-hmm. When you think about coaching, you have children, right? You have 3 daughters. Are any of them involved in any sports activities or?
Ellie does a lot of karate.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So when you think about Ellie's karate coach, or someone who coaches really well on an athletic team, what do you think about that person doing?
Well, I go to karate with Ellie, so I've observed what happens with her coach, and he gives her a lot of very specific feedback, both on what she's doing well and how she can do better stances and punch with more accuracy, I guess. So feedback would be the main thing. And he's very encouraging of her. He's always encouraging her to do better and better. Great.
And those are really important elements of coaching. And if you think of other athletic teams, you also think about a coach. It gives instruction on how to play the game well, play it correctly. Coach gives feedback on how to perform at a higher level or more proficiently. A coach has to support the team when they're down in points, or has to support a player when they're having an off day. Mm-hmm. A coach also has to tell the team when they're losing focus or when they appear to be losing focus. So a coach, someone who's coaching, really brings around that accountability piece as well to get the job done. So the same is really quite true in an organization or with an individual who's learning a new skill set, such as person-centered thinking or person-centered practices. What we're learning is that after someone completes training in person-centered thinking, they really need an opportunity to practice perhaps with observation, with some feedback, to really become confident in how to use a person-centered thinking tool and how to do it well. What we're also learning is that that's not enough, because oftentimes the next questions that come from staff or from managers is, I'm not sure how to do this work it into my day, or I don't have time, or I don't have resource, and they really feel stuck. So coaching helps us not only to support the practice with observation, but also to help people move beyond that place where they're feeling stuck, so that they can figure out where to go next.
Can you give an example of how coaching approaches can be used to help people get unstuck?
Yeah, there were two different participants shared stories, and for their confidentiality, I'll call them Simon. Simon shared that he was struggling with his staff and sensing that they weren't really motivated about using person-centered practices, that they didn't seem real committed about moving it forward, and he wasn't quite sure what to do about it. So we supported Simon with some coaching tools, including we used what we called 5 Whys and a What, and we used the GROW model, which is a coaching support model. And through that, again, that structured, powerful questioning through those tools, what Simon realized was critical for him to do was to work with his team to conduct a donut exercise around the core responsibilities related to person-centered practices in their organization. What's interesting is that this other manager who was in the same course, I'll call her Megan, Megan also shared that she was having struggles with motivation and commitment among staff to move it forward. Using some similar coaching tools with her, the realization she came to was it was important for her to actually speak with her own supervisor to do some strategic thinking around the role of person-centered practices in our organization and strategizing about relationships that she was having with her service provider community. So what was really interesting and powerful about that is very similar presenting concerns, 2 different managers. The coaching approach allowed them to come to two very, very different conclusions. Sometimes in our work we're so quick or so eager to come to a solution. When someone presents a situation like I'm concerned about my staff not being motivated, we quickly move down a path that may or may not be the appropriate path for them, and may not get them to the results that they're really looking for. So, so again, by using coaching tools and strategies with a person who's feeling stuck in one place, it allows them to allow the solutions to emerge that will be most meaningful for them and most impactful for them. And those conversations all happened in about 15 minutes. So it was a very productive use of their time. They felt empowered, they felt confident, they felt like they knew what they needed to do. So we're learning that being purposeful in coaching people around using person-centered practices and implementing them in their work is really very time efficient, which is important to all of us.
Absolutely. Lovely. Thank you very much.